Hola amigos de Mercado Negro, nos encontramos de visita en las oficinas de Visa para una entrevista inédita en inglés con Frank Cooper, Chief Marketing Officer de la compañía. Cooper cuenta con vasta experiencia en el rubro y en el 2010 fue elegido como una de las 100 personas más creativas en los negocios por el portal Fast Company. En esta oportunidad nos contará sobre el programa de patrocinio de Visa que viene transformando el deporte a través del crecimiento profesional. Hello Mr. Cooper, nice to meet you. I believe this is your first time in Peru, right?
First time in Peru. Call me Frank, Rafael. Great to see you. Great to meet you. It actually is great to be here in Peru, in Lima in particular. And didn't know what to expect, but it's been a great trip.
What does the Visa sponsorship program consist of?
So look, we sponsor a bunch of different things. And on the sports side, we sponsor obviously FIFA. Okay. FIFA Men's World Cup and FIFA Women's World Cup. We've been probably the longest partner. Global partner for the Olympic Games. We partner locally with the NFL in the United States. So we have a bunch of different partnerships and sponsorships across the board. But the thing the thread that actually connects all those sponsorships is that it's not just about putting our name against something that is, we think, an important event or an important cultural phenomenon. It's how we can connect to it in a way that we add value. So either the fan experience or the athlete's experience. That's what we're trying to do over and over again in sports. Add value to the fan experience or the athlete experience.
Right, so what do you consider is that special value Visa is providing to transform the sports scene with this initiative?
The thing coming up right now is Paris 24 Olympics, which will start July 20th. Really excited about that. What we try to do with the Olympics, we're the longest standing sponsor. It is great to be a proud sponsor, right? To be a proud sponsor, you get all sorts of benefits associated with that. That's great. But what we're trying to do is we're saying, well, what can we do to add value to the athletes first? So we formed Team Visa. Team Visa this year has 129 athletes across 66 countries, and 40 different sports. We have the greatest percentage we've ever had of Paralympic athletes as part of that. The greatest percentage we've had of women athletes. And so it's the most inclusive team that we've had so far. And so it's not just a designation of being Team Visa. We give them some money, but what's more important, we give them access to each other. We give them advice. We had an event in January where we brought together about 118 of the Team Visa members. And we taught them how to be better creators. We had influencers from TikTok and we had people from the platforms themselves coming in and saying, here's how you actually become a stronger creator to build your own fan base and to build your own personal brand. And so building that community, teaching them new skills, expanding their relationship with Visa. We've had some athletes who come back and actually work at Visa. All those are kind of benefits of being part of Team Visa. So they play the sport, but they also have this partnership with Visa.
Right. So what are the characteristics that an athlete needs to have to be part of the Team Visa?
Yeah, it's a great question because a lot of people would say like, hey, isn't it pretty easy to sign up athletes? Like find out who's the best. Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, who's the fastest? Okay, we're signing that person. Like, who's jumping the highest? Let's sign that person. That's only one component for us. I mean, what we look at we look at a set of values, and the most important value we think is, are they someone who believes in, well, actually it's two things. One is someone who believes in just the constant state of getting better. Okay. Like our brand is really kind of rooted in this whole idea of taking the small steps every single day to get better. And you can see that in everyday transactions, just getting better. But the second one is, do they have the mindset and the spirit of wanting to pay it forward, to give it back, to help others. And they can help others who are right next to them, which are fellow athletes. But some of them go further and they have their own charitable organizations, or they're looking at how they can actually kind of fulfill their own personal sense of purpose by helping other people.
So how many Latin American athletes are part of the Team Visa for the Olympic and Paralympic Games Paris 2024?
So for Latin America, we have 26 Team Visa athletes across the Latin America region.
How many of them are Peruvian?
And two of them are Peruvian. We have Christian Pacheco,
okay,
and we have Uber Pacheco. Actually, it's a new announcement. We haven't announced it publicly yet, so it's kind of we're breaking the news with you on this one. But a Paralympic cyclist that's part of Team Visa now.
Nice. That's really good to hear. And I wanted to know, does the Visa sponsorship only applies to massive events or to any competition that feels the value?
Yeah, it's definitely not just massive events. I mean, I'd say we have a history of being present at some of the biggest cultural events in the world, Olympics and FIFA. But we sponsor kind of smaller leagues, like MLS. We have Bay FC as one example. But we also do smaller local sponsorships. We sponsor at all levels, and it's funny because whenever there's a big announcement about one of the bigger platforms, the comment I get from it's not even just media, just people in general. It's like, well, when are you going to sponsor smaller events? And my answer to that is that we do it all the time. Now we don't promote it in a big way. But the key for me is this: is if there's one thing I want us to do, and we're trying to do as a brand, is to move beyond this notion that sponsorship simply means that we pay money for the right to say that we're a sponsor. What we want to do is partner with people who are hosting events big and small that we leverage in ways that deliver value to people. That's really the shift that we're trying to focus toward. And hopefully you'll see that at this Olympics as we're on the ground doing things that we have never done before.
So the goal is that the value flows both ways.
100%. 100%. There was a time when the value was purely if I could just have the halo effect of just being next to a brand like the Olympics or next to FIFA, I could get a lot of value for that as a brand. And people would say like, wow, you're part of that big event and maybe we get some access to that. There's not that value is going away completely, but it's not enough for people to believe that we're delivering something that's meaningful. And so now that we have an opportunity to actually develop content, we have an opportunity to elevate certain athletes, we have an opportunity to connect athletes and fans in ways that they have not been connected before. That's unlocking new value for people that otherwise would not happen but for that sponsorship. And so I think that to me is that's where the action is, that's where the value is, that's where we get a more significant return.
Yes, especially because sports brings to people like that emotional connection that can be something to approach to different brands.
It's funny, I mean, people get passionate about sports in ways that sometimes I can't even figure out. It's just like, it's amazing. Even here in Peru, we were talking about this at lunch, food and football.
Yes.
People are like really passionate about those two things. And football, it's a kind of, it goes beyond just loyalty. It's more of, it's deeply embedded in the culture in a way that it brings people together. Even if they're competing against someone, even if they're rooting against another team,
yes,
it brings them together in a way of kind of simultaneous viewing that nothing else does today. Like everything else, people are kind of watching something on their phone on their own time. They're watching on demand, whether it's Netflix or something else. But in sports, and particularly football, people are gathered around at the same time, having the same types of conversations, really fully engaged. And that's a valuable thing, and it's becoming something that is rare in today's world. If people have grown up with it, if you've played it a little bit, whether it's in the street or you played it in school or you do it in a casual way, you appreciate the kind of the enormous talent that is actually on the field. You can appreciate it because you're like, I know that kick that Messi just did is impossible. And it just happened in a way that very few people can do it. And I think that's what we're seeing happen on a global scale now, is that that football, soccer has always been the global sport, but now it's even in the pockets where I think there was some audience or spectator resistance, that's starting to break down. And so FIFA Men's World Cup in 2026 will be interesting because that'll be in North America, it'll be in Mexico and Canada and the United States.
How is it going to work, that partnership with FIFA?
It's kind of like the polar opposite of what happened in 23 in Qatar.
Okay.
In Qatar, everything was proximate. You could drive, you could see virtually every game you wanted to see, because all the stadiums were within several kilometers of each other. Now you got to go across multiple countries, but I think that's an opportunity. The opportunity, I think, is that each region, each country, Mexico, Canada, United States, they have fans that are deeply connected to FIFA, to soccer and to football. They have their own way of promoting it. And what you'll see from us is that we'll be present in all locations. We're going to be present in all locations. And the way in which we're present is partly hospitality. We bring fans, we bring clients onto the event. But I think what you'll see that has not been done before by us at scale is that we can also create content coming off of those events that we can distribute through primarily social media in ways that will give people a different view of what is it like to be part of a FIFA event. And so for those who can't physically make it there, we're going to try to give them a sneak peek at, what's the feeling, from an influencer's point of view, what are they seeing? What do you do in the off time? What's the entertainment that's happening around the event? So we're going to bring that to the fans in ways that I think we've never done before.
So Visa is going to give the influencers like a special role in this World Cup in order to create content, and that is going to be aligned with your marketing actions, I believe.
100%. For us, we look at creators and influencers not only as people who will create just content, they're also a distribution channel. They have their built-in audiences. And so part of what we want to do is give them access that they otherwise cannot get so that they can then do what they do. We're not asking them to do something different. We're definitely not trying to direct them, hey, this is the Visa way. Shoot it the Visa way. That would actually undermine everything about what we're trying to do. But we are trying to align with those influencers, again, whose values and sensibility are consistent with ours, and then giving them access that they otherwise can't get. And we think that's something that their fan base and their audiences will enjoy. And thankfully, many of them have Visa credentials.
Can you tell me about the recent global sponsorship of Red Bull?
We're the first global partner for the new Red Bull, the Oracle Red Bull racing team. Right?
Yes.
First global partner, and it brings together the original Oracle Red Bull racing team and the former Scuderia AlphaTauri team, right? So, which is now called the Visa Cash App team. So it's the first time those teams are coming together. They're sharing technology. We're the first global partner for that team. And so for us, it's exciting on many levels because the Red Bull racing team is a winning team.
Yes.
It's doing very well. We enjoy being part of that side of it. But also we're part of a team that we think on the Visa Cash App RB team that we think has the potential to continue to grow. And we'll see what happens this year. Yuki's doing fairly well. Daniel's doing okay. He's struggling a bit, but for us, it's not even about who has the very best record at any given moment. We're with them for the long term.
Yes. We
believe in them, but we also believe in the process that he takes, and that Yuki takes, and that Max takes, and that Sergio takes to get better every day. Because we're more focused on that, and we believe if they continue with that process, they may have some down cycles, but they will win in the end.
Every athlete that is part of the Visa team is going to have a partnership that goes both ways in a long way, right?
But what I will say is that we strive to have every athlete that's connected with us, every platform that's connected with us, that there's a kind of a two-way street that we're giving, they're giving, that we're aligned in our values. You should see Daniel and some other things that we're building and doing. You should see in the just breakdancing. We have Lumo I mentioned earlier from Colombia. We have Shiggy Kicks from Japan.
Yes.
We're not just going to go there and watch them perform. We're going to figure out how do we leverage that partnership and give the world greater insight into breakdancing. It didn't come from nothing. It came from something. And the fact that you have someone from Colombia, someone from Tokyo, in the Olympics doing breakdancing, a sport or an activity that came out of the Bronx, New York, it's an interesting story in and of itself. And so we think we have an opportunity to tell those kinds of stories.
Yes, it's like like when in the last Olympic Games, skateboarding was included.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like an urban sport.
100% right. I love that. I love that skateboarding is included. We have Sky Brown, the youngest skateboarder out there. She'll be there. She's part of the Team Visa athlete. But I think the Olympics is doing a great thing by looking at these cultural spaces where things that have not been classified as sports by the Olympics are brought in.
At the same time, it's really important for the Paralympic athletes also, because I believe that sometimes they are like the underdogs and they are not so focused on the media, while they have like increased potential, you know?
Yes, yeah, I totally agree with that. You know, it's one of the reasons why I love this concept of team visas, because, you know, your career, if you think about an Olympic athlete, you know, you're working virtually your entire life, you know, to get to this one event that happens once every 4 years. You may only do it one time, actually. And then after that, it becomes a destabilizing event in your life. You're like, what do I do? I think we can be, and we're trying to be helpful in making sure that whether they go on to the next Olympics or whether they want to start the next career, we can be helpful in giving them some pathways for what happens next. And so it's one of the things that I have a lot of passion around that piece of it, because I think we are providing a service that benefits them, but it also benefits us.
Wonderful. Thanks for the interview.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And you know, hopefully I'll get back to Peru soon.